fucking hair. Hello. That's what I meant to say. Hello. I think it's episode 19, according to my notes. It's almost episode 20, which is that much closer to doing half a year consistently, and perhaps a year at some point. Someone's ringing the front door. So I have notes today because I'm organized. We'll go. I don't know. I'm going to see Barbenheimer tonight. We're going to see Barbie and then Oppenheimer with a friend. Haven't seen him in a while. And what does that say about that? I had zero interest in the Barbie film, and I think I still do. The question is Barbenheimer completely a marketing scheme, or did it start organically and then it became a marketing scheme? I don't know. But it's interesting. I was talking with some guests last Saturday. They were 23. They were talking about Barbenheimer. It's like everyone's talking about it nowadays. It's funny. But yeah, Barbie. I couldn't care less. I don't think I'll be that much surprised. And I don't have a pink shirt. Forever does for us. Yeah. I'm realizing how socializing doesn't fulfill me, really. Hardly ever. It hardly ever does. I'm going out tonight. I went out yesterday and the day before, and I'm someone who's very reclusive and who avoids going out. And every time I do, I find that however fun it was in the moment, it was just, a lot of time and energy, and usually money as well, kind of wasted. I often try to think about, there are kind of standard ideas of things that make people happy. It's like if you can be on the beach on the holidays, you're gonna be happy. We all have this vision, and I've been working since January. Our holidays are in August, and what's supposed to keep you going through the whole year, or through those 7-8 months, is that at some point it's going to be the holidays, and you're going to be able to go to the beach and relax and be in the sun and all these things. And when I think about moments and things that have fulfilled me and made me truly happy in my life, I never think about being on a beach or in the water or anything like that. These things are just, I don't really care for them that much, to be honest. The beaches I've been on, mostly in France, in Brittany, the water's cold. It's not that sunny. It rains out of nowhere. It's a bit like UK weather. And I would just stay, because the water is so cold, I would just stay on the beach and sunbathe, which is essentially just let my skin burn and increase my chances of getting cancer, and do nothing and stay there and feel like I'm in a coma because it's so hot and I'm doing so little. And that's not really that fulfilling. And even when I think of holidays in general, and having been on holidays, all the beautiful holidays I've been, blessed to go on, they don't compare to the moments that I think about when I think of being happy. And I've mentioned that before, I think, but the number one thing I think about when I think of being happy, of a specific moment where I was very happy, elated. And first of all, it was through achievement. It wasn't the achievement was the prize and the thing that made me happy, not being able to relax after, completing something. It was the completion that made me happy. And yeah, it's actually all the moments that I can think of that truly made me happy are like that. Like the first time I dunked, which was almost the last time, really, when I was like 16. It was really sloppy and ugly, but I was, elated. And so the one moment I think about is the first time I did a Nordic curl. And I had been working on it for weeks. And if you don't know what a Nordic curl is, you are on your knees and you get anything you can find to lock your feet in contact with the ground. So what I do is I have something that I put under the door, put my feet, it goes over my feet. That way my feet are stuck in place. I'm on my knees and I lean forward. And if you've never tried, it's, unless you're a really good athlete, you won't be able to do it your first time if you've never tried it. It's going to take a while, and it's going to seem near impossible at the start. And so I'd put an elastic band around my chest, attach it to the door, and day by day I would decrease how much. Well, I would elongate the elastic band so that it was helping me less. And eventually I did it. And I remember I called my brother literally almost immediately. I remember I was in the shower, just super happy. Like that might be the happiest moment of my life. When I think of the happiest moment of my life, that's the thing I go back to always. That's the first thing that jumps into my mind. Which is, if you're an adult with children, or if you have actually achieved really important things, it's going to seem ridiculous. But the point I'm going back to is, why was it so important and meaningful? And it was because I was very consistent in trying to achieve that goal day by day. And I was struggling. At first it seemed impossible, and I kept trying, and eventually I did it. And so that's where happiness comes from, it seems. Those moments where something comes to fruition. I suppose it's similar when you get a kid. I know everyone says, you can't imagine how it's going to feel like until you look in the eyes of your kid for the first time. But it's similar in the sense that making a kid, like the probability of being born are extremely small, as we all know. The amount of cells competing for of sperm cells, whatever, competing for the egg, and all these things, and how dozens of thousands of people die every single day. So life is a kind of a daily blessing. It's miraculous. So I suppose when you bring a child into the world, they are after 9 months they come into the world, but they've been alive and kind of growing inside the body of another human for 9 months. So the probability of everything going according to plan, and the baby being born in health and everything is a miracle. And the fact that you survive long enough to do that and everything. Where's my lamp? Deformed. There you go. Anyways, nothing new. We all know this, but happiness and fulfillment come from achieving things. Right, so that's the end point everyone's trying to get to. And so achieving things requires discipline and consistency. And going back to this idea of me not really enjoying a break for the holidays, or enjoying socializing too much, that'd be why. It doesn't involve the things that actually lead to fulfillment. Also, the ridiculous thing about going on holidays is that I would completely stop working on my own projects, which is ridiculous, because that's how I get to the point of achieving something, is working on my projects. And I would literally job that as if that's also, that's as if that's something I don't like doing, like my 9 to 5, and just be like, oh, I'm on holidays now, I don't need to do anything, and just making myself miserable. Right? That's ridiculous. But it's interesting to think about these things that we take for granted as just being the way it is. Just like I've seen countless videos on people talking about breakfast and how it's a marketing scheme that was created to sell, I don't remember, like certain foods, to boost the meat industry or something. Eat bacon and stuff in the morning. Anyway, the idea that this was all created, I don't know how much of that is true. I haven't done extensive research, but I've heard many times that breakfast being the most important part of the day. Important part. I was going for important part. Important part of the day was created for a reason, but we all take it for granted. My mother used to tell me it's the most important part of the day, blah blah blah, and that was the general consensus. And nowadays you can hear a lot of different opinions and voices, and now for a long time I've stopped eating breakfast because I do believe that it's intermittent fasting makes me feel better. But the point is, these things that we take for granted, whether they are society's standards or the standards we've been used to our whole lives, and we never question them, until we do. Breakfast, the same way that kind of society teaches us it's so important. It's always been traditional in my family. I know we're French, we like food, and doing toasts with butter and jam in my hot chocolate every morning. Used to love doing that, and I thought that was so important, and it made me, it filled me up before the day, and now I wouldn't do that. But so it's important to question why we do the things we do, and whether they are, worth keeping or getting rid of. And so, going on, I don't know when I'll go back, on a beach to sunbathe and go in the water, but it's not something I'm looking forward to, or that I'm interested in. And same with socializing. I find that it's something that I'm just gonna have to let go of and accept that it's not for me. I watched a video today on Vincent van Gogh's Insane Routine. Was the title of the video, I think, and a guy going through his routine. And how do I say this? And I also saw a quote from Robin Williams, right? That's a comedian, saying we only get a small portion of madness. We're all born with a small portion of madness, something like that. So try your best not to lose it. And all these different ideas, made me think of. I know, and also I watched a video. That's how the internet works, right? It's all rabbit holes. They know what you're looking for. I watched a video by Firas Zahabi, George St. Pierre's trainer, and he talks about being exceptional and how. These are not new ideas by any means, but how we're all born. I guess it's called a bell curve, right? Most people fall in the average, and then minorities on the edge. It's a spectrum, whatever. Most people, are average in intelligence. A small minority is very stupid. A small minority is very smart, and the belief is that almost all of us, maybe all of us, fall at the extreme on at least one thing. So you might be the loser who's never been good at anything, but little do you know, there is one thing somewhere that you're actually predisposed to being good at. And so he talks about how if you're in the majority of people in terms of athleticism, he can get you to the UFC if you work really hard. But if you're born on the extreme of being already very talented, very athletic, blah blah blah, he can get you to a champion. And if you're on the other extreme, you got nothing to show for, then he can't help you get to the UFC. He can get you, I guess, to be a professional in some other organization, but you can't be the best. And so he was encouraging people to just find a thing that you're really good at and just go with that. And all these different ideas, they converge to this idea, so to how that applies to me. And he specifically talks about how when you were a kid, what were you known for? What did people what's the word, congratulate you for, and things of that nature. So immediately that got me thinking. When I was a kid, I always used to draw. That was my thing. I was always drawing. Jeez, it's hard to speak today. I was always drawing. I enjoyed it. I was doing it all the time, everywhere, and I was known for that. And people, looked at my work and were like, "Oh, you're really good." When I was a kid, and I also thought about how, funny enough, it's never happened with filmmaking. It's never happened. Oh, you're so good at filmmaking, or blah blah blah. And yet I'm here focusing mostly on filmmaking today. But so, once again, all these different ideas converge. Robin Williams' quote, Vincent van Gogh's insane routine, Faraz Zahabi talking about how to become good at something. And I've always believed that I should embrace my madness, my quote-unquote madness, what makes me singular and different. And one of these things is I don't care about going out and socializing and, escaping reality by getting drunk and dancing and all these things. They don't matter to me too much. Maybe it's something that's innate. Maybe it's a combination of that and just the fact that it hasn't been part of my life. Only recently have I kind of socialized in that way. So it's never been something that's part of my life. So I guess it's a mixture of the two. But so I find that the reason I kind of force myself to become social and do these things is for perception, so that people will think that I'm okay and I'm happy because I'm doing these things, whereas they would think that I am unhappy if I weren't. And same for so I'm not going to France for the holidays to see my family. And of course, it's annoying. I love them. I want to see them. But it doesn't bother me that much if I'm going to be able to do other things here and be productive and all these things, which I wouldn't be able to if I did go. And so all my life, I've never even toyed with this idea, because it's the holidays, you go see your family. That's just how it works. And that's how it's always worked for me, and that's how it works for most people, unless it's impossible. Most people, they'll take the opportunity to go see their family. And I'm kind of realizing and accepting that as important as it is, it's not as important as other things for me. So, going back to this idea of Vincent van Gogh, what was the quote? His insane routine. It made me think of, these people who are extremely successful, not in a monetary sense, for example, for Van Gogh, but just be able to change the world and affect the world and create things that last. A lot of these people are literally crazy. They are different, and we love them for that. And I find that in my case, where I've been very ambivalent and not really accepting and embracing who I truly am, instead staying, in the middle and trying to kind of please both sides, sometimes more one the other. By doing that, I am not maximizing my abilities, and I'm not maximizing my potential for happiness. Once again, I go back to what is happiness for me, And when I mean happiness, I mean just growing and challenging myself and creating things that are challenging. That's what I mean. So all this to say that basically all my life I've been trying to play both sides, and I haven't embraced who I am. And that's something I'm trying to do more and more. And, not socializing is one of those things. Like, I'm going out, so that's 3 times in my 3 days off that I've gone out. And I have to edit a video, and that's all I really want to do. Edit that video. I want to draw, I want to write, I want to do these things. And, I'm going out instead. And it's difficult to just say to people, I don't want to go out. And basically, I'm never going to go out. Go out, get wasted, have fun, and do that. Because a lot of people, that's mostly how they decompress, and how that's what makes them happy. And me, what would make me happy is if you said, hey, let's work on a project together, let's do some work on something, which most people, don't want to do on their time off. Anyway, going back to this one idea that I need to just accept that I'm strange, and different, and I don't fit into conventions in some ways. It's not like I don't accept it at all. I think most people who know me a little do think that I'm a bit strange and different. But that's not enough. It's scary, but it's scary because if you go full on, full you can end up like those, crazy people who are, I don't know, who never achieve anything. I don't know. It's scary to be that you can be ridiculed and things of that nature for being yourself if you just accept that you're different. But then you look at, the Kanye West of the world, the Vincent van Gogh, I don't know, even Michael Jordan. These people, there's all kinds of stories about how, at one moment or another they did something or they acted in a way that made people think, what a fucking dumbass and what a crazy person and what an annoying person, an arrogant asshole, and all these things. And in the end, it doesn't really matter because they were able to have an effect on the world with, mostly positive things or with their art. So just, what's the line in Tropic Thunder? Never go full retard. Like I often say that to my brother, or we often think that, like, is anyone more themselves than Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor, or then The Rock is The Rock? And there's something so, attractive about someone who's so much themselves. It's like they're a different, they're not even a human being. They're just a version of themselves that stands out from everything and everyone. The idea of being so singular is quite attractive. We also talked about how Cillian Murphy, how magnetic he is, how his energy, his charisma. With my brother, I was talking about that because we love him as Tommy Shelby in Peaky Blinder. And I remember reading about how big actors, like he did screen tests for Batman, but he didn't look right, and how at the start of his career, people looked at him with his facial features and how this kind of skeletal facial features, and he didn't seem like he could be a leading man, and he couldn't be the main the main actor, or he couldn't be a Tommy Shelby, for example. He just looked a bit strange. And today, it's the opposite. The fact that he looks so strange, I mean, coupled with his acting talents, his amazing acting talents, make him even more attractive because he looks different, because, he looks like no one else. And also because he didn't let that stop him in any way. So there's something very, attractive about someone who just embraces who they are, period. I remember watching a TED talk about a guy whose face has been deformed, and objectively he was very ugly. And then two things about that. A guy paints him, and I thought that he looked so strong and handsome really in that image, because I don't know, the way he had been painted really brought out something. I don't know what, but I did remember thinking that he looked really powerful and the ugliness was gone in the picture. And also how the fact that he embraces the way he looks it makes him feel, his confidence completely kind of sidesteps his physical handicap. So the importance of being true to yourself, of accepting yourself, and of being confident, that can trump anything. Last thing, I was watching the Aiden Ross and Andrew Tate podcast a few days ago, and there's a moment where Andrew asks him a question. He asks him to go to Nicaragua or Peru or something, and what's his name? Aiden asks him a question in return, and Andrew cuts him off, almost shouts, "No, I'm a professional. You're going to answer the question." And the energy he had in that moment, immediately I thought about my uncle. And like I think I've been in the same room as my uncle many times. Complicated relationship he has with our family. and haven't seen him in a while. And last time I saw him, he was pretty crazy. But I would say of the persons I've been able to hang out with, and spend time with, he's one of the persons that has the most imposing and powerful presence. The note I've written is an incredibly powerful presence. My uncle. There's strong authority and charisma and conviction in what he believes. He's very smart as well. And when Andrew cuts Aiden off with this sense of authority, but also, how do I say this? Completely justified. As in, most people, most of the time, that situation comes along, you ask a question and someone kind of sidesteps the question or asks you a question in return or whatever they do to kind of deflect from the question. A lot of the time we'll just accept it, especially when it's might be a bit outlandish of a question. Also in films, that happens all the time. The two characters, they're about to kiss, and then someone comes in the room and says, hey, we're going in 5 minutes, and kind of cuts them off. And then they're like, well, I guess the moment is ruined. Like, bitch, the person just leaves the room and you go back to what you were doing. It's just like that scene, that structure of a scene, something important is about to happen, and then some dumbass thing interrupts the moment, and then people are like, well, I guess, someone has to say to another character, hey, the mole is in your team, and then he goes to say it, and then someone is like, hey, Jack, we need to go. And instead of being like, yeah, give me 5 seconds to reveal the most important information, that I know of, he's like, okay, I guess I have to go now. You know what I'm talking about. That happens all the time. That's how they create tension and drama in the most shitty, lazy way possible. What did I say that? Yes, but in that moment, when that happens, Andrew would be like, okay, I'll be here in 5 seconds. I have to say something, and that's what he did in that moment in the Aiden Ross thing. And I believe that's also what my uncle will do, because my uncle has this very strong character, and so. Yeah, I just thought of my uncle yesterday, or was it the day before, when that moment happened, and I thought about what it means, or what it means to me to be a man, and this ability to have a strong presence and to be he keeps saying professional, Andrew Tate, but I think it's a perfect word. Being on task, not letting things distract you. No bullshit. And the last note is about role models. And so as controversial as it is to say, I do look up to Andrew Tate. And I don't look up at the totality of him, as in, he's just a guy. But the different skills, and especially the consistency and discipline, that's undeniable. I mean, he's not a professional fighter anymore. He's 35. He was in jail for like, I don't know, was it 90 days? And he's still in incredible shape. And like that might seem trivial, but most people are not in incredible shape, let alone someone who's going through hardship, someone who's a businessman who's very busy. All these things, and him being, it's the the accumulation of all these things. The fact that he's undeniably disciplined. That's, once again, that seems like, okay, everyone is successful. No, it's not true. Most people who are successful are not able to juggle, their physical health and their business. He's extremely well spoken, which once again you can say a lot of people are. But who is extremely well spoken and extremely disciplined, in very good, shape, which is very important. Like some people look at people who, well, I'm not talking about being, a bodybuilder, but some people look at people who are in shape and they kind of look down on them as if, and I mean, I understand that to a degree, especially if you look at someone who's extremely muscular. Shut the fuck up. Fucking scared me. It's like, yeah, if you look at someone who's in extremely good shape, especially if they're not even like an athlete, a professional athlete, there's something sad about it, because like you're spending all your time doing that just so you can, make yourself feel good by looking in the mirror. But even the way he talks about it, for example, in Andrew Tate, and the reason why I like working out, even though it doesn't look like it, is because it feels good and it's just healthy. It's real, it will result in you having a long and healthy life. But once again, so the idea that he's able to juggle, to be disciplined and to juggle all these different aspects of his life. I don't want to be an online pimp. I don't want to be, I'm not interested in his, business, but if I could be, in very good shape, very healthy, very wealthy, have a network of people who are, on very successful as well, that I can call on if I need anything. All these things, if I could have these on top of being, doing my career, which would be being an artist, that would be unheard of. Like, I can't think of people who I look at as influential, people in my field, influential filmmakers or just artists in general, who are also very wealthy, very financially successful, which it does matter. People might say it doesn't matter. It fucking does. At least it does to me. Who are in very good shape. Once again, you just want to be in good shape so you can look good and all that shit. No, because it's better for your health. And as a man, it feels good to work out and to be in good shape. I only know the man perspective, but I know that as a man, the idea of becoming stronger and things of that nature are very, motivating and very positive. So to have all these things, I can't think of anyone who's all of that, as in my field, as an artist, especially not a filmmaker. Like, all filmmakers, specifically the good ones or the best ones, right? They're in shit. They're in terrible shape. They don't even really make that much money. They're nerds, really. It's like I'm shitting. Like, I don't know, the people I look up to the most, like my favorite filmmakers, Paul Thomas Anderson, for example, who I think is the greatest screenwriter alive today, and probably the best, at least American filmmaker working today. Right? I would love to be as talented as him as an artist, but I don't want to be some scrawny nerd, that can't pay for it. It sounds like I'm taking shots at him. Maybe I would never do that because I'm a huge fan, but I want the whole package. I want to be in good health. I want to have money so I can, invest in my own work, invest in other people's work, help people, do charity work. I want the money for that. I don't care about cars. I want to be in good health. Like, I don't want to just have one side of the equation. So once again, that's why I look to Andrew Tate, because the thing that he preaches the most is discipline. Like, having seen his older kind of almost motivational kind of work, this idea of discipline is, paramount to his message. It's at the forefront. Discipline, doing the same shit day in, day out, every day, even when you don't want to do it, is the most important thing if you want to be successful. If you want to get that high of achieving that thing that seemed impossible at the start, just day by day, with discipline, you keep doing it. And I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm just going on all sides, but yeah. So I did compare Andrew Tate to Paul Thomas Anderson. It's like, if I could choose to be one or the other, that would make no sense, because neither is me, right? I want to be me. But I guess really the point that I'm trying to make is that, what is the point? The point is that I'm not willing to trade, being a successful artist for being a kind of successful human being outside of that, as in a healthy, mentally strong, financially independent human, and an artist, both at the same time. And like, the two are not mutually exclusive. I look to Paul Thomas Anderson for his work as a great artist, and I look to Andrew Tate for his achievements and his discipline, and how that could affect me, how I can take that as an example. Same for Paul Thomas Anderson. So kind of on the point of Tate, the idea that it is like, I know people who kind of hate him. It is a popular thing to do. And yeah, the point I'm making is that there's so much positive to take from the character, that people who just dismiss him are clearly just people who are not interested in doing quote unquote research, like looking into it. Because he said so many things that are, politically incorrect, and he may kind of defend himself and say, oh, it was all for entertainment, and he did literally say things that if a kid saw it, could have a bad impact. He said things that are quite stupid. But if you're an adult and you look at his message, right, for yourself, and most likely you're not a multimillionaire, all these things, most likely you're not. If you look at him and you realize that, one, as bad as some of the things he said are, a lot of it was comedy. Now, he does have opinions about, for example, women that I don't agree with, that I find stupid. But I don't give a shit, right? It's that simple. I look to what's useful, what's positive, and he's the example of the kind of the dogma he preaches. Discipline, doing the same thing over and over again, and you can become, a formidable, ultra successful individual. But yeah, to me, the idea of, the camera stopped recording, but thankfully I had my eye on it. So I guess that's it. Barbenheimer, baby. Let's go.